It is Tuesday, January 2nd, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I'm Matt Modai, and I'm here to give you my 4 favorite NBA player props for today's NBA betting slate. Again, we're talking Tuesday, January 2nd. Hope everybody had a good new year. We are on to 2024, giving out more NBA plus money bangers. It's been a couple days since I've had NBA player props, which I apologize for, just traveling for the holidays, but we are back, and it's been a pretty good year overall. So to do a recap for those of you that might not remember, on the entire season, we are up 22.45 units on these NBA player props with an ROI of 16.51%. I call it the splash zone because we're trying to figure out who's going to splash around and get us wet and who is not. As for today, again, I have 4 more player props for you guys, all 4 of which are in the plus money banger variety, which is great. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can cash these bangers with us in the future. And let's get into today's picks. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here is in the 76ers versus Bulls game. And we're taking Joel Embiid under 34.5 points, plus 105 odds at DraftKings. So for our first play of the day, this is also going to be our only underplay of the day as well. At least it is a plus money banger, so we have that going for us. But I will admit, it's always going to be horrifying taking an under for Joel Embiid. So this one, even though it's my first play, I am also calling this my Pepto play of the day, which just means that it's going to feel a little bit scary. It's going to make your stomach queasy. So go ahead and take a shot of Pepto with it to wash that down. So yeah, Embiid is great. He averaged over 40 points in the month of December. He also scored 40 points against the Bulls in the month of December. And the reason why this is a play, Embiid has missed over a week now with this sprained ankle. And Embiid is a kind of guy, he admits this, that when he takes off extended periods of time, he needs to play himself back into shape. He always returns a little bit rusty and a little bit out of shape. So whenever he misses, again, extended time, which I'm calling 7 plus days, he struggles a little bit in his first game back. That would be this game against the Bulls. And yeah, I'm not going to deny how incredible he was in the month of December. He scored over 40 points 3 times in 9 games. He even had a 50-burger against the Timberwolves. But if you take out that Timberwolves game, look at the teams he was feasting on. Look at his matchups. He played the Wizards twice, the Hawks, the Pistons twice, Charlotte. The Bulls, who are, we'll get into this, are actually pretty good at guarding centers. They're not a good defense overall, but they are good against centers. And then the one actual tough matchup that he went off against was against the Timberwolves. But overall, we all know Embiid tends to struggle in the more difficult matchups. And I know that he just hung 40 against the Bulls, but the Bulls are actually a pretty competent defense, specifically guarding centers. According to props.cash, they're the 6th toughest matchup for center point total props specifically. So in his first game back, fading Embiid is the way to go here. Hopefully he can not come through for us, so he will not be getting us wet tonight. Cashing this underplay as our first play. Next up, this is in the Spurs versus Grizzlies game. We're taking Ja Morant over 27.5 points, plus 110 odds at ESPN Bet. So it's been kind of a hit or miss start for Ja since his return from the suspension. Some games are incredible. Some games are less so incredible. I think everybody thought that he was going to be amazing when he returned. In his first game back, he scored 39 points and had the game winner. But it's been more inconsistent than that. But I love backing him tonight. Tonight is a situation where you do want to bet on it being a hit game for Ja Morant. Now, I will admit that initially I did want to pump this up to 30 plus points, but to be honest with you, the value wasn't that much better than taking him over 27.5 points. So that's why I decided to go with what we went with as opposed to the 30 plus. I still think 30 plus is a good play. This just had better value. Overall, since he returned from suspension, Ja has played in 6 games so far this year, and he has scored 30 or more points in exactly half of those games, so in 3 of 6. Granted, in the 3 that he missed, he didn't even score above 20 points. So that's kind of what I mean when I say he's been hit or miss. The reason why I like him tonight and why I think he is going to be a hit is because the matchup against the Spurs is about as juicy as it gets. Not only is the Spurs defense horrible in general, and they are horrible, one area in which they are especially horrible is against point guards specifically. over the past month, the Spurs are allowing the third most points per game to opposing point guards. And this is a situation where Props.cash lists the Spurs as literally the easiest matchup in the NBA for point guard point total props. Somehow, an astonishing 12 of the last 12 point guards against the Spurs, literally 12 of 12, have gone over their point total over under. That includes bench guys. That also includes starting point guards like Ja. So Ja should be able to go off tonight. Hopefully he can come through for us, cashing our over 27.5 plus money banger. Next up in the Hornets versus Kings game, we're taking Domantas Sabonis, 25 plus points, plus 175 odds at Bet Rivers. You can also get it at plus 170 at FanDuel as well. So for our third play of the evening, that's another situation where we are targeting an absolutely juicy matchup, which is targeting centers against the Hornets. This is also our juiciest play of the day in terms of odds. So the Hornets are like the Spurs, in which they are a defense that is bad at everything across the board. They're horrible defense, but where they are especially horrible is guarding the center position. Over the past month, the Hornets are allowing the most points per game to opposing centers. And it's actually even worse than that sounds. So this might be a little bit confusing, so hopefully you can follow. But if you can take every possible matchup, which is 5, or every possible position, which is 5, against every possible team, so 30 teams. So it's a possible 150 total matchups, 5 positions multiplied by 30 teams. So hopefully we're following that, right? It's every possible position against every possible matchup. If you look into that, the Hornets are allowing the second most points per game to the center position, and that includes every possible position. So of every position against every team, the Hornets are allowing the second most points per game to the center position, which is horrible. They're 149th out of 150 in terms of points per game to a position. So yeah, centers kill the Hornets. Now, the last game the Hornets played was against the Nuggets. Jokic did not go off against them, surprisingly. Prior to that, 5 straight centers had gone over their point total over under. And looking at Sabonis, he's generally been pretty solid for the Kings. He's also been playing better recently as well. He's only gone over 25 points, or 25 or more, I should say, in 9 games this year, but he has done it in 4 of his last 7. And in a situation where he's probably going to get fed a ton of easy buckets, probably mostly by De'Aaron Fox. So if you want to take his assist total, I don't hate that as well. We're just going to track Sabonis. But in this matchup, Sabonis should be able to come through for us as our third play. Next up, fourth and final pick of the evening, Celtics versus Thunder game. We're taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 35 plus points, plus 135 odds at FanDuel. So for our last play of the day, let's go with an absolute superstar who I love, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Obviously, admittedly, against a pretty good defense in the Celtics. So this is not a situation like it was with the previous 2, where we're targeting a bad defense in a specifically bad position against that defense. Instead, what we're doing is we're taking a player in a position against a good defense, but a position in which that defense struggles. So as good as the Celtics defense is, and they're very good, one area in which they do struggle is guarding the point guard position. They're allowing the third most points per game specifically to opposing point guards in the NBA. Even though they have 2 good guard defenders in Derek White and Drew Holiday, good point guards can go off against the Celtics. Cade Cunningham put up 31 against them. That was on an over-under of 21.5. Prior to that, in the month of December, both De'Aaron Fox and Steph Curry had good games against the Celtics as well. What do those players have in common with SGA? Aside from Cade, they're all superstar point guards, and Cade's been playing well recently. Now, on the year, Shai has actually only scored 35 points in 8 games. So it's another situation like Sabonis where the win percentage isn't in our favor. But there is a reason why we are taking them at their pumped up number, and it's because of the matchup. And this is also a home game for Shai, and he's a little bit better at home than he is on the road. And he also has a higher floor. So his ceiling is about the same. He's only gone 35 or more points in 4 games at home this year, so half of his season total. But he has scored at least 30 points in every home game except for 3 games. Now, I'm taking out 1 game where he didn't play a lot of minutes, only scored 7 points, but only played like 12 minutes. So taking that one out, he has scored at least 30 points in every home game except for 3. So we can count on him to at least get 30. So if you want a parlay piece, you can take that. But in a plus matchup against the Celtics, hopefully he can get just 5 more points or more than 30, cashing 35 plus points for us as our 4th and final pick of the slate. And that's how we got 4+ money bangers for you guys to lock in. If you are riding with me, make sure to comment and let me know. Other than that, remember to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Appreciate everybody for watching. Again, hope you had a good new year and have a good one.